This weekend is NFL Week 10. The first game on Sunday morning is Seattle against Tampa in Germany, by the way, in Munich, Germany. Honestly, I think this game is a really, really interesting matchup. Seattle is 6-3. They are playing very well. They're first in their division. Tampa is 4-5. Tampa's coming off a comeback victory against the LA Rams, where on the final drive, Tom Brady came alive, made a bunch of plays, led them on a game-winning touchdown drive. The question is, will that final drive against the Rams be a turning point for Tampa? Because Tampa has to start winning and playing well. This feels like a must-win game for Tampa. If they can get back to 5-5 and first in their division, and that can be their springboard off to a lot of wins in the future, then they could make the playoffs and maybe make a run. But it's now or never. And I will say this, man. Tom Brady, when he's backed into a corner and has to make plays, he's regularly done that during his NFL career. It feels like that kind of moment. I just think it's exciting. Geno Smith against Tom Brady in Germany. There's a lot of passion for football in Germany, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. Minnesota plays at Buffalo. This one is a big game. The Vikings are 7-1. Buffalo is 6-2. Buffalo's probably the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. I know that's controversial. The top couple teams in the NFL, you got Minnesota, Philly, Kansas City, and Buffalo, all of the best records roughly in the NFL. But there's a lot of uncertainty whether Bills quarterback Josh Allen is going to play. He missed a couple practices dealing with an elbow injury. I hope that not only Josh Allen plays, I hope Josh Allen is healthy for this game. Because what I want to see from this game is Minnesota get tested by Buffalo at full strength. The Vikings are 7-1, and a lot of the Vikings' wins are really unimpressive. You know, when they played Miami, for example, Tua was hurt. Their starting quarterback didn't play. Oh, great. You beat Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. How impressive. They beat the Packers. Ooh, they suck. The Lions, the Saints, Arizona, Washington. They barely beat Washington, by the way. The best team Minnesota has played all year is Philly, and they lost. So I look at the win total for Minnesota kind of with the sideways look like you haven't really beat anybody yet. Can you beat Buffalo? And what I hope is we can see Minnesota against Buffalo at full strength with Josh Allen, because I really want to see like how good is Minnesota actually. It's a good litmus test. If Minnesota beats Buffalo with Case Keenum at quarterback, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like that's kind of not what I wanted. I really wanted to see them tested. Now, can you imagine? Case Keenum, by the way, once upon a time played in Minnesota. He got replaced by none other than Kirk Cousins. Kind of an interesting storyline there. Maybe Case Keenum gets revenge a little bit against his former team that decided not to keep him long term. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's interesting to me. It would be kind of a huge problem if Minnesota lost to Buffalo with a backup quarterback. I'm already a little bit skeptical of Minnesota. If they lose to Buffalo and Josh Allen doesn't play, suddenly 7-2 doesn't feel great. When you look at the wins Minnesota has, again, the Packers, the Lions, New Orleans, who's terrible, Arizona, who's awful. They beat Washington barely. A last-second field goal is what it took. And if after next week the losses for Minnesota are Buffalo with a backup quarterback and, Philly, we're kind of going to be a little bit disenchanted by the awesome stuff going on in Minnesota. I hope they win. I'm actually rooting for Minnesota here. I want to see them legitimize themselves, but it's up in the air. The Lions play at Chicago. The thing I'm interested in this football game is the Bears offense. They played really well against Miami last week. They keep making progress on offense. Chicago does. This will be Chase Claypool's second game since getting traded to Chicago. Last week, he only had 2 catches on 6 targets. I want to see if maybe Chase Claypool has a bigger role after spending another week of practice with the team in Chicago. But the Bears have shown a lot of progress and a lot of promise, even is a great word. Feels like a very winnable game. You're playing Detroit, who is 2-6. Now, the Lions defense last week played very well against Aaron Rodgers. I can't tell yet, was that Detroit's defense getting better? Or more likely, was it the Packers offense being not only bad, but also Aaron Rodgers having kind of a bad fluky day? So Was last week a fluke for the Lions defense, or are they actually getting better? I don't know. We'll find out. I think the Bears win this game, and it's a great opportunity for them to really show the progress they've made as the year has gone on. Denver at Tennessee. Tennessee took Kansas City to overtime with their backup quarterback, Malik Willis, last week, only completing 5 passes. I mean, I thought that was a really impressive performance by Tennessee. Their defense played really well. They ran the ball incredibly well. On paper, this game is a massive mismatch. Denver should not be able to hang with Tennessee. Tennessee has got a better defense, better coaching, a terrifying running game. I think Tennessee, no matter who's playing quarterback for them, Ryan Tannehill or Malik Willis, should win easily. But it does look like they're going to get their quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, back from an injury. So I expect Tennessee is going to win this game against Denver by a lot. Cleveland at Miami. It's interesting, man. The Browns are 3-5. They are trying to keep their season alive until their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, comes back from his suspension week 13. It's going to be an interesting game, by the way, at Houston against his former team. Miami, though, has a super fun offense to watch. They throw the ball a ton. They got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Any chance I get to watch Miami's offense, I'm excited. I love Tua. I love Mike McDaniel. I love what they're doing in Miami. And what's interesting is nobody really knows how to stop Miami's offense. Maybe Myles Garrett can just take over in the defensive line. I have no idea. So far, nobody has an answer and can really slow down Tyreek Hill, Tua, and Jalen Waddle. Maybe maybe Cleveland can come up with something different and interesting this week to challenge Miami. I'm not sure they will, but keep your eye on that. Dallas plays at Green Bay, and it's the first time the former Packers head coach, Mike McCarthy, now the Cowboys head coach, is going back to Green Bay since they fired him. This one's fun. It's interesting. And I think Mike McCarthy is going to get a lot of really good revenge against his former franchise. Dallas is a way better team, and the Packers are a mess. They can barely throw the football. Their receiving core is terrible. I expect the Cowboys to win by a lot, and I think Mike McCarthy is going to give us kind of a signature little smile, wink, and a nod during this game, and I think that would be kind of fun and interesting. This weekend, Arizona plays against the LA Rams in LA. I'm not sure how Cliff Kingsbury still has a job as head coach in Arizona. Honestly, they're 3-6. Last week was horrible against Seattle, but they haven't fired him yet, I guess. Okay. And if Arizona loses to LA this weekend and they fall to 3-7, I would imagine that's when you fire Cliff Kingsbury. Right? I mean, 3-7? The team looks awful? I mean, I thought they were going to fire him last week. So who knows, man? I've got no idea, but keep your eye on that. We're on Cliff Kingsbury fired watch, basically. Like, can he keep his job and stay alive a little longer? Who knows? Sunday Night Football is the Chargers at 49ers. Honestly, it's a very interesting game. I love this because we get to see Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey play at the same time for the 49ers. They have a similar skill set. They can run the ball. They can catch passes. They are crazy athletes. I can't wait for the play. I think we're going to see one with Christian McCaffrey at quarterback and Deebo Samuel at running back. Like both of them in the backfield in some kind of wildcat formation. That is insane. Or imagine the formation with Jimmy Garoppolo in the shotgun and on either side, Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. That'll be fun. It's terrifying. I don't know how you really stop them. It reminds me actually of Miami's offense. They can do stuff that is just unguardable if they execute well. And Jimmy Garoppolo, not a great quarterback, but he can take easy completions if you give them to him, and I think he might have a lot in this football game. For LA, the Chargers, they are 5-3. They're coming off their bye week. Hopefully, the bye week gave LA a chance to rest and regroup a little bit. 5-3, I think is a pretty good record given how abysmal the year has been for the Chargers. Injuries galore, all kinds of stuff has gone wrong. Their season's been kind of a mess. So 5-3, if they win and go to 6-3, that'd be a massive victory for the LA Chargers. But they also have a coach here, Brandon Staley in LA, who's kind of on the hot seat. Not as bad as Cliff Kingsbury. I've already said Cliff Kingsbury's out. Brandon Staley, I'm kind of wait and see. And I don't think the ownership with the Chargers is in a hurry to get rid of Brandon Staley. They're kind of cheap. They're not they're not known to just fire people mid-season. They're kind of a slow-moving, glacial franchise. But if LA looks terrible and they fall to 5-4, which LA should not be 5-4 given all the talent they have. Just keep your eye on that. There's a brewing storyline that maybe their coach could get fired eventually in LA. Monday Night Football is Washington at Philly. It's another mismatch. What I wanted to see was Carson Wentz play at Philly against his old team, but shocker, Carson Wentz is hurt again. He's on the injured reserve. Would have been a fun storyline. I don't know what Carson Wentz does well. He's not accurate, can't extend plays, he's hurt all the time, makes terrible decisions. Well, okay. He probably should be the starting quarterback in Washington still, just because Taylor Heineke isn't amazing and you're paying Carson a lot of money, but oh man, I'm so disappointed. When the year started, I wanted to see Carson play against his former team Indy and his former team Washington on the road both weeks. Didn't happen because stinking Carson can't stay healthy, which isn't really a surprise. The Eagles are way better. Philly should win this game by a lot on Monday Night Football, to be totally frank. If Washington can pull off the upset, I would actually be surprised, and it would be very, very noteworthy. Now, 4 teams have their bye week this weekend. The Bengals are 5-4, got the week off. The Patriots at 5-4 also do not play. They are last in their division, the AFC East. The Jets, 6-3 at the bye week. Not bad for you Jets fans out there. The Ravens are also 6-3. They are first in their division, the NFC or the AFC North, and those are the 4 teams on their bye week. The Jaguars play at Kansas City. It's really hard to imagine the Jaguars winning this football game. You're playing a juggernaut, Kansas City. I expect KC to walk away with this game easily, to be totally honest. It's at home for them. It's going to be probably cold. It's cold here where I'm at. I can't imagine how cold it is over in Kansas City. So I think the Jaguars lose this weekend at KC. Houston plays the Giants. The Houston Texans by far have the worst run defense in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Giants are one of the best teams running the football. Giants running back Saquon Barkley is 3rd in rushing in the entire league. So the Giants are 6-2 right now. Technically, they are 3rd in their division because of the record in the division, plus Dallas, who's also 6-2, beat the Giants. So in this playoff chase for the New York Giants, every game matters. And when you're playing a team that's not very good like Houston, you got to win this game. It's a gimme, and you got to deliver, and you got to win. So keep your eye on this. A lot of pressure on the Giants, in my opinion, actually. You got to win this football game. 7-2 would be great. 6-3 with a loss to Houston would be embarrassing and frustrating if you're a Giants fan. So keep your eye on this one. Saints at Philadelphia. Philadelphia. That's the other place in Pennsylvania. The Saints are playing actually at Pittsburgh, across the state. I don't know, man. Saints at Pittsburgh. The Saints are hard to watch. At least there's a good reason to watch this game, though, because Steelers rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett, it's fun to track his progress. That'll be interesting, but I'm not that excited about Saints at Pittsburgh. The last game I haven't talked about yet is the Colts at the Raiders. The Colts just fired. They fired their head coach, Frank Reich. They hired Jeff Saturday to be their new head coach, and he's their interim head coach at least through the rest of this year. We'll see after that. I am very, very interested to see how the Colts do with Jeff Saturday as their head coach. He's never coached in the NFL before, but he played for 14 years, so you could make the argument that he knows what he's doing. I really liked his opening press conference where he was like, look, man, I got nothing to lose. So we'll see. I think that's kind of a dangerous mindset, actually. When you have nothing to lose, you pose a threat to teams you're playing. The Raiders are 2-6. The Raiders have had a really frustrating year. It's been painful to track and follow. Early on, the Raiders lost a bunch of games by 1 score. Then they lost to New Orleans 24-0. They lost to the Jaguars last weekend. Trevor Lawrence outplayed Derek Carr. The Raiders quarterback Derek Carr has been really mediocre this year. I don't know. The Josh McDaniels era in Vegas has not got off to a good start at all. So I think this weekend's a great opportunity for the Raiders to win and maybe do something positive for the first time in a while. It's been an uglier for the Raiders, and if they can win, it's much needed. But unfortunately, I think actually, I don't know that Jeff Saturday is going to win a lot of games as the Colts head coach. But I think your first week without your head coach, you got this new guy. He's got a lot of energy. Jeff Saturday, Colt legend. He could infuse a lot of passion and energy to that locker room. And for that reason alone, the Colts might win. I don't know. It feels like a trap. The Raiders are playing at home against the Colts team that's going to be fired up, and I worry the Raiders are going to lose another one. What do the Raiders do, by the way, if their season is just awful? I mean, if they're like 3-14, what do you do if you're the Raiders? I have no idea. Do you draft another quarterback? Like, what's the problem? It's been just a weird year all around for the Raiders, and oh man, hopefully for the Raiders' sake they win, because they got to get things going and finish with a better record than they have, because right now they're kind of in crisis mode.